What's going on, guys? It's Joey here. So as promised, today I'm going to be doing the workout video, how to set up a training split, my training philosophy, my training style, why it works, why I think it works, and why I do it. So without further ado, let us go. So the first thing I want to get to is the training style. So the type of training style that I like to do is high volume training. So basically, high volume training is an accumulation of poundage through sets and reps. For example, let's say you are squatting 405 pounds for 9 sets of 10 reps. If you were to accumulate the total poundage of work that your muscles just did, it would be over 36,000 pounds of work. Now, us as bodybuilders, we're not trying to move weight from point A to point B. We're not powerlifting. We're trying to stimulate the muscle so that it can grow. So this type of training stimulates the muscle so aggressively that no other type of training will ever accumulate to it. Another example would be, let's say you can bench 500 pounds but for 10, but you're only doing sets of 3. That is nowhere near going to accumulate to the poundage to 405 pounds for 9 sets of 10 reps. You understand? So that is one benefit of high volume training. Now another benefit is the CNS program, which is your central nervous system programming. So through the form of repetitive motion, your CNS, which is your nervous system, which is connected to your skeletal muscle system, which allows you to move, that through repetitive motion learns how to adapt and get better at the certain exercise or movement that you are doing. So it'll allow for more muscle recruitment when you actually need the muscle recruitment, because it'll identify the pattern and notice that it's trying to work at a certain capacity, and it'll make your body produce more motor neurons so that you can be able to get more muscle recruitment, therefore enhancing your mind to muscle connection. Another benefit would be positive metabolic disruption. So basically what metabolic disruption is that through the form of repetitive motion, leaning towards more to the 8 to 12 repetition, your body becomes faster adaptive to stimulus of stress, therefore causes more growth in muscle, more growth in more strengthening in ligaments, tendons, and bones, so that your body can be able to adapt to the capacity of work that you're doing at the gym. Another benefit of high volume training is sarcoplasmic cell swelling. So basically what sarcoplasmic cell swelling is, it's a difference between hypertrophy and myofilament hypertrophy. Myofilament hypertrophy is the hypertrophy of myofilaments, which are muscle fibers, and they expand or recruit more so that you can be able to push heavier weight, so they're more compacted. And sarcoplasmic cell swelling is basically fluid in the muscle that helps the muscle expand and swell up so that it can cause muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth, not myofilament growth. And as bodybuilders, we're trying to grow muscle, we're not trying to grow myofilaments. So that's another benefit of high volume training. Now, in order to achieve sarcoplasmic cell swelling, you need to perform sets between the rep ranges of 8 to 12. Now, the reason being is because that's the magic number. The magic number is between 6 to 15, but in high volume training it's between 8 to 12, because it allows you to lift heavy weight for a good amount of reps, and also moderate weight for a good amount of reps, causing more muscle stimulus, more muscle fiber recruitment, more CNS programming, so that you can be able to recruit more muscle fibers the next time you come and do the same exercise, so that it can cause a greater stimulus, a greater stress, and a greater function of growth. Now another benefit is glucose disposal. So now when you're training vigorously with high volume training, your body is constantly producing stress. So in order to combat that stress, your muscles have to then generate or use more glucose so that you can have more maximum muscle potential. So it'll help your body utilize glucose to its maximum potential so that you can be able to drain that muscle and be able to get the best benefits from the gym, so that you can be able to work that muscle to its full capacity. Another thing that would be beneficial is physical conditioning. A lot of bodybuilders do high volume training or extreme high volume training because it conditions the body to do work. And the more work you do, the more calories you burn, the more your cardiovascular system has to work, so the more conditioned your body gets. So when you're on stage and you're posing, that's very, very hard. You need to be conditioned, not only mentally and physically, but also muscle wise. Your muscle has to be able to flex for more than 10 seconds without you getting a cramp or anything happening. And that's how you get conditioning. The muscle gets conditioned to do a high capacity of work. Another benefit of it would be longevity as well. It preserves your muscle, it preserves your tendons, your ligaments, your bones. It doesn't allow you to get injuries. Yes, injuries will come as time comes because you do get older and you do get more fragile. But by following a high volume training guide or a high volume workout split, it'll increase longevity so that you can be able to keep on working out using progressive overload and getting better each time that you step into the gym performing a certain lift. Now, I want to get to a training split. So the perfect training split really doesn't exist, but you can make it exist when you know your body. So for example, me, I've been training for 6 years, so my muscle output is here. So my training stimulus has to surpass that so that my muscles can feel the work and so that they can grow. Now, another example would be like the newbie lifters. They can do any form of exercise and they'll experience extreme soreness and they'll experience rapid muscle gain and rapid strength gain. The only reason being is because the muscle has not been yet validated to that amount of stress, so it's just trying to adapt, and so by adapting it's trying to stimulate growth as fast as possible and strength as fast as possible so that it can be able to keep up with what you're doing. Now, as the more advanced you get, that slowly goes down, so your training stimulus has to be higher because your muscle output is surpassing your training stimulus, so you need to change reps, change tempo, change exercise technique, which is supersets, giant sets, deloads, which I'll be talking about right now, other things like drop sets and sets on sets, and just a bunch of different variations that you can do. So my training split right now is quads, hamstrings, shoulders and calves, chest, back, and then arms, and 1 day off. So another thing I want to get to is to exercise sequence. So exercise sequence is very important because you need to prioritize your heaviest lifts or the compound movements at the beginning of your exercise, because that is when you most have energy. I was reading an article and it says you utilize ATP in the first 15 seconds of your workout. So if you want to increase the chances of you lifting heavier and increasing certain movements that you want to do, for example like a barbell curl or bench press or deadlift or squat, you need to prioritize those exercises because that's when you'll have the most amount of energy and the most amount of capacity to do work, so that you can be able to bang out those hard and heavy sets, and then for the rest of the workout you still go hard but you isolate the muscle more now that you've already gotten the compound movements out of the way. So exercise sequence is very important because sometimes people automatically start off with doing isolation movements, which is, there's nothing wrong with doing isolation movements right off the bat. There's just different programmings that you can do. But what I like to do is, for example, arms. So I start off with barbell curls or dumbbell curls. The reason being is because barbell and dumbbell are the main components of compound movements, so that's, you utilize more muscle fibers, more muscle recruitment, so that you can be able to make that muscle work harder. Now, another thing I want to get to is hydration. It's very important to be hydrated in the gym not only so that you can have energy, but also so that you can get sarcoplasmic cell swelling, which what I went over already. So the basically how you do that is by drinking water at least 100 milliliters every 20 minutes so that you can sustain a pump. I like to drink a sip or two of water after each set just to ensure that my body and my muscles are hydrated and well properly ready to go on to the next set or the next exercise. Now, another thing I want to address is form and ego lifting. Form is very, very important in the gym. You don't want to go into the gym and just get 100 pounds and just start working out like that. One, you can hurt yourself bad, and then you won't even be able to work out anymore. Two, you're not going to be creating a stimulus of growth, and you're not going to be getting good CNS, which is central nervous system recruitment, to get the maximum potential of mind and muscle connection, because it's about stimulation, not annihilation. So in order for you to stimulate muscle growth, form is very important, as well as rep tempo, rep scheme, meaning how fast you're going down, how fast you're going up, pauses within the rep to have iso contractions and mini contractions, exercise technique. So exercise technique comes down to patternization of the CNS system. So let's say, for example, you perform the incline dumbbell bench press. After 3 weeks, your body and your central nervous system is going to get used to doing that movement, and each week you're going to be doing progressive overload, which is constantly increasing the stress on the muscle so that it can create a greater stimulus of growth, and so that it can get more muscle recruitment and more CNS repetitive motion, so that your body and your brain can adapt to that movement, and so that you can be able to be utilizing that movement to the best of its potential, so that you can be able to grow the most amount of muscle and gain the most amount of strength. When doing exercise, it is very important that you warm up. Do not take warm up for granted. You can seriously get injured and you won't be able to do nothing. A warm up set, which I like to call feel sets, are sets that you do with 50 to 60% of your 1 rep maxes for about 15 to 20 repetitions, and you do as many sets as you want so that the muscle can get ready and primed, so that your body and your central nervous system can get ready for the amount of capacity and work that you're about to do. So for example, you're going to do a squat. You start off with the bar and you get down the pattern and the movement so that your body and your muscles can be ready for the movement that you're going to be doing, and then you load it up with a 25, and then you load it up with the plate, and then you keep it at the plate for another 2 sets, warm up, and then boom, start your set at 225 for 8 to 12 repetitions for about 4 sets, 3 sets, and then boom, go to the next exercise. Now, another very important thing to warming up is also getting your heart rate elevated and breaking a sweat so that your body can be primed and ready to go. Another thing that I wanted to talk about were deload weeks. What a deload week is cutting back training volume. So for example, on the first week of training for legs, let's say you did 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps of 5 or 6 exercises. The following week, you're going to increase the sets. So instead of 4, they'll go to 5 sets, but the rep ranges will stay the same and the weight will increase very little, just to cause muscle overload. And then for the next week, which is the 3rd week, you'll increase it another set, so it'll go to 6 sets. Now, the 4th week, which would be the deload week, your central nervous system has then built up to 6 working sets. So for the 6th week, you already have built up a volume of 6 sets per exercise. Now 6 sets is a lot of volume. Your central nervous system can get fried. So a deload week is just to give your central nervous system a break from all the work and stress that you've been putting on it. So the deload week, you would want to subtract the amount of sets by either 30 to 60% of the working sets. So I like to go back to 3 sets and then add in a drop set to 1 or 2 exercises, making it 4 sets. just to keep the intensity still high, and the rep ranges never change. It's always between 8 to 12. The only thing that changes are the sets and the weight. The weight changes only when you feel like the weight that you're doing is too light. So for example, let's say you were incline pressing the 100s for 12 reps, and then 12 reps has gotten real easy for you, and you can do 15. Then go to 105 or go to 110 and do that for 8 to 12. So you just want to adapt to what your body is adapting to, if that makes sense. So that's a deload week. And recovering is another very important variable to high volume training, because high volume training, you're doing 20 to 30 sets of work per each muscle group. That is a lot of work. So your body is in a lot of stress constantly, and it's constantly trying to recover. So that is when a good diet comes into program, and good exercise frequency, or a good exercise split, just like the one I'm doing right now. It gives enough time for each muscle group to repair. And a lot of people don't know that antagonist muscle groups can also play a major role in antagonist muscle groups. So for example, you do a hardcore hamstring day, and then the following day you go and do back. You utilize hamstrings during back. So it's not a smart idea to do hamstrings and then to do back, because you're going to be utilizing some of the hamstrings during back day, and your back day can suffer, or vice versa. It's not a smart thing to do back and then hamstrings, because while you're doing back, you're going to pre-exhaust your hamstrings, and the next day you're going to go and work out hamstrings. Like you need to have proper exercise sequence, proper training split, proper everything in order for you to maximize your results in the gym. Now, another thing I would like to do is talk about is controlling the weight. Now, if you can't do a 2-second eccentric without the weight either falling on you, or without you shaking, or without you going up straight, then it's too heavy. Lower down the weight. Do and pick a weight that you can go down slowly and explode up with good form for however many amount of reps you want to do, preferably within the 8 to 12 rep range. Now, the range of motion is very important, because as us bodybuilders, we're just building muscle, and as you build muscle, you lose your range of motion, and range of motion, when it's decreased, can increase injuries. So as a bodybuilder, you want to decrease the amount of injuries you get in the gym, just to promote longevity and to promote healthy bodies once you get older. So a full range of motion is required. So for example, if you're doing a chest press, you're not gonna just go up to your chin and go back up. You're gonna go all the way down, stretch the chest to its maximum potential, and go all the way up, just to ensure that you're getting that mobility in and you're not cutting yourself short of a rep. You want to have your workout set up correctly. So let's say you do an improper setup. You can cause an impingement in the muscle, which I've gotten before. I would just go straight into doing bench press or dumbbell press, and I wouldn't warm up my shoulders and my upper back and deload my traps, and I would get impingements in my shoulders, and I suffered for that for many years. And now I can honestly tell you I haven't had any shoulder injury or any shoulder impingements in the last 2 years since I've been doing high volume training. So that's another reason why setting up an exercise frequency and exercise coordination is very important to prevent injuries like minor impingements and aches and little pains here and there, because those aches and pains as you get older will not leave. They'll just keep on coming back and keep on nagging on you. So if you can help yourself now, then do it. Another thing is body momentum. You really don't want to use your body momentum, because then you're going to be using other parts of your body to be picking up the weight. You really just want to be using that muscle group that you're using, so that you can get the maximum mind to muscle connection and the more muscle recruitment on that muscle. And it also inhibits you from injuries. So let's say you're doing curls and you're curling and you're like bending your back. That can cause a back impingement, back pain, shoulders, and a bunch of other bad stuff that can happen to you, versus just standing up straight and just picking up the weight with your biceps and making the biceps work. So another thing I want to go over is compound exercises and isolation exercises. So compound exercises give stimulation. So for example, if you're doing a squat, that stimulates the whole bottom of the legs, which is the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the quadriceps, so that it can get ready to do work. It stimulates the whole muscle. That is the whole point of a compound movement, to stimulate the whole muscle to get it ready to do work. Now, the isolation exercises, they give tension to the muscle. So for example, let's say you're doing leg extensions, you're solely giving tension to that part of the muscle, which is the quadriceps, vastus medialis, vastus intermedialis, vastus lateralis, and rectus femoris. Those are the muscles of the quadriceps. So another thing I want to talk about is different body parts need different things. So not every muscle has the same function, because form equals function. So the form of your chest is to do external rotation and outward, upward, downward. So your chest has better contraction when you're bringing in your hands towards the mid-sagittal line of your body, which is towards the middle of your body. But it can go up, to the side, down. It can do anything. And your back is for pulling motions. So it's different. Every muscle is different. Every muscle has to be treated differently, but trained the same, if you understand what I'm talking about. So for example, sets and reps for the muscle groups stay the same, but exercise and exercise frequency can change. So you're not gonna do bench press to work out your legs. Like, come on, that makes no sense. You're gonna do squats to work out legs. So that's what I mean by different body parts need different things. Another thing is free weights, cables. So I was doing a study and I came to the conclusion that free weights builds more muscle, or more sarcoplasmic reticulum fluid. So free weights will expand the muscle greater and cause greater hypertrophy, versus cables or machines, as machines would just cause greater tension in the muscle and will cause a greater stimulus for muscle fiber recruitment. So I recommend doing cables or machines if your mind to muscle connection and form is not really there. So basically for beginners, but even advanced people like myself use cables because they're a good way to manipulate the muscle and to make it work differently rather than free weights, because the advantage that machines and cables have is that it keeps constant tension because it's a pulley system. So it's biomechanics with weight. So it's resistance with weight, and resistance and with weight build muscle because it's just constant tension. So your body and your central nervous system is constantly getting triggered. So for example, you're doing cable flies, all the tension is just going to be on your chest throughout the whole exercise. So your mind to muscle connection is going to be greater than doing dumbbell exercises, because if you go up on the dumbbell exercise, your chest will lose tension if you're not keeping a firm form and mind to muscle connection. So that's a benefit of machines over free weights. I'm going to talk about unilateral versus bilateral exercise. So unilateral is like single, so like right arm, left arm, and bilateral is like right and left together. So the difference between them is that unilateral exercises can help fix muscle imbalances, and by having muscle imbalances, you're more prone to injury and impingements in the long run. And by doing unilateral exercises, you'll be able to build up that particular body part so that it can match the other body part, so that it can be doing the same amount of work. Now, bilateral exercises are doing exercises together, and that increases your strength and mind to muscle connection, so that you can be able to stimulate both sides at the same time to be able to stimulate the most amount of growth. But I do recommend doing unilateral and bilateral movements in your workout, just to ensure that you are hitting each muscle group to its full potential and not one more than the other, because sometimes that does happen when you do exercise. Another one I want to talk about is seated workouts versus standing workouts. Standing workouts are more prone to using momentum, something I went over. So while utilizing standing workouts, you do have to put the ego aside and strictly just use form, so that you won't use any other part of your body other than the part that you're trying to work. And the same goes for seated exercises. Seated exercises takes away any momentum. So I recommend trying dumbbell unilateral curls seated, which is sitting down at a slight incline and having your hands in pronation in the anatomical position, which is your thumbs facing outward and your palms facing up, and you just going straight up. That will take away ego out the way, and you will feel the biceps working to its full potential. Another thing I want to talk about is rest between sets. Rest between sets is very important, not only because it'll help you increase intensity, but it'll also help your mind to muscle connection and the blood flow, which is the pump, to stay there throughout the whole workout. Because when you do have a pump, you do grow, because blood carries nutrients, and if the muscle has nutrients, then it's going to grow, because it has all the things possible to make the muscle grow, which is nutrients. So rest between sets is very important. I recommend timing your sets between 45 to 60 seconds. But if it is a compound movement like a squat, a bench, or a deadlift, then I recommend doing 90 seconds max to ensure that you have fully recovered, so that you can be able to bang out the next set and not lower the weight. Another thing I want to talk about is having mental focus. Mental focus is very important in the gym, because you need to have constant focus so that you can be able to have constant mind to muscle connection, because mind to muscle connection is very important. If you notice, I keep on saying mind to muscle connection and mind to muscle connection and mind to muscle connection. That's because it's very important to have a mind to muscle connection, because that's how you're going to stimulate growth. That's how you're going to stimulate the muscle. So it's very important to stay focused in the gym and not be texting or looking at girls or looking at the guy benching 1,000 pounds next to you. Like, it doesn't matter. When you're at the gym, you're there to better yourself and make yourself look better or accomplish a goal that you have in your life. So you need to have mental focus. And if you think about it, it's only 90 to 120 minutes that you're dedicating of your day to be there at the gym. So it doesn't kill to stay focused and to bang out your workout and to get in and to get out, so that you can go and eat your food and actually recover and grow. So basically, that's my training philosophy. Those are my principles. That's what I have been doing for the past couple of years while bodybuilding. It helped me win first place on my Classic Physique NPC Battle on the Bay show, to first place and a second place against Open, which are men above the age of 25. At the time I was 18 and I got second place, and I just feel it's because of the knowledge that I have accumulated throughout over the years of training and the experience that I have, and I just want to help you all get better, because why not get better today rather than getting better tomorrow? So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all haven't already, subscribe, like, share, comment. I'm going to be putting another food day of eating, because I did change up my diet. It's going to be going out a couple of days after this one goes out. If you haven't already, go check out my other video that I did, and it helps you set up a diet and how to calculate your macros. If you have any questions, anything, I'm going to be leaving my Instagram right here. Go ahead and leave me a follow. I'll be leaving my Snapchat right here. Go ahead and follow me there. If y'all have any questions, you can go ahead and DM me or write them down in the comments below. As of right now, that's all I have. So hopefully y'all enjoy this video. Hopefully y'all learn, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.